You're listening to Around Comics. 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 Comics.
You are listening to Around Comics, episode 447. I am Brian Salazar, and this is Around Comics. It is Thursday. With me, as always, Christopher Niesman and Tom Caters. What's happening, boys?
How's it's the most going? Fresh air intro you've ever done.
Well,
I have Salazar. Welcome. You're listening to Fresh Air.
You're listening.
Professional.
I'm a little down in the dumps, honestly. I don't know if you guys saw the news that Lisa Marie Presley died today. The daughter of Elvis Presley.
I did see that.
Yeah,
I've been kind of torn up about Jeff Beck.
Jeff Beck died the other day.
Yeah.
A lot of,
Lisa I saw that she went to the hospital for cardiac arrest, huh?
Yeah, and evidently she did not survive, unfortunately.
She and Michael are finally together again.
Yeah, I guess that you could put it that way. Sure.
I guess. So it's one way of.
Yeah.
That's one way of taking it. Yeah. Anyway, what's happening?
Priscilla's still alive, though, right?
Priscilla is still alive. Yeah. Yeah, she is.
Yeah, probably still
Priscilla.
Huh.
She's outlived her daughter and, Elvis. And yeah, she's had to deal with some high-profile deaths in her life.
Yeah. Well, she was like when she was probably about our age, right? Was she even?
She's 54.
No. Okay, so a little bit older than us.
Yeah, a little bit. A couple years.
It's like when when Jerry Lee Lewis passed away, and he was always like the person that every year it was like, oh, Jerry Lee Lewis is still alive. Like,
isn't that
he feels like
Abe Vigoda?
He was Abe Vigoda for years.
Abe Vigoda still alive?
I remember
there was a roast.
Is Richard still alive?
There was a roast, and I forget what comedian it was. It was like, Abe Vigoda, God rest his soul, and Abe was like sitting like five seats down.
Little Richard is dead. Yeah, Little Richard died in 2020.
Right,
Abe Vigoda died in 2016. It is. Yeah, Jeff Beck was a weird one because that was like right on the edge of for me, I wasn't I can't say I grew up a Jeff Beck fan necessarily, but
you were aware of him.
Yeah, absolutely aware of Jeff Beck for sure. Yeah. And became a fan over time, but I don't think, I didn't grow up like listening to Jeff Beck.
He was kind of one of the first like guitar only guys that I remember. It's like, and then it's like Satriani and those guys kind of come in.
Right.
After, Yngwie Malmsteen, those guys.
Yngwie. Yeah, there was a lot of them for a while. Now you have no guitar heroes any longer.
Are there?
I don't know. I guess like Jack White maybe is about as close to it as.
Yeah, but he sings. I guess Satriani.
Yeah, he sings. He writes songs.
Yeah, most of those guys. I mean, those guys would put out like instrumental records. You don't see that anymore.
Yeah, especially like Yngwie Malmsteen. Yngwie Malmsteen was all like classical music and on the guitar, and yeah. Well, Jimi Hendrix didn't want to sing. Jimi Hendrix was just, he was going to be just a guitar player in a band, but then someone convinced him to sing, and then you got Jimmy. You got Jimmy and the Experience. Anyway, yeah.
All right, so it's around music tonight.
Around music. We never know what we're going to talk about. It rarely ever is it comic books. Once in a while, but
sometimes
we have a shared comic to talk about tonight.
We do. We have a shared.
Shared experience.
A shared experience. Sounds kinky. Sounds a little kinky. I read. I haven't finished it, but I've been reading the 2017 Thanos Returns by Jeff Lemire and Mike Deodato Jr. And I really like it. It's really good. It's interesting because it's not so much about Thanos. I mean, it is, but it's like a heist movie almost. You have Champion of the Universe, and he goes and he's sent by the son of Thanos, Thane, to go find Star Fox and what's her name? I can't think of the blue. What's the blue Thanos?
Nebula.
Not daughter.
Nebula.
Nebula. And he's like putting together this team to kill Thanos because he's found out Thanos has returned, but Thanos is weakened. There's something wrong. There's something killing Thanos already. So they figured that now is the best time to try and kill the mad god. So it's pretty good. Mike Deodato art is pretty awesome. He does.
How good is that guy?
Really well. Yeah, I think he's gotten better like in the last 5-7 years or whatever than he was even back when he was doing like Spider-Man and stuff like that. Like I like his stuff now even more.
Was Thunderbolts one of his runs that he kind of got to know that him as an artist? I feel like
that sounds right.
For a long time.
That sounds right. I don't remember honestly, but
he's always been a really awesome artist that works on books that I don't read.
Thunderbolt. Yeah. But it's a pretty cool book, man. Like I like it. It was weird when I was reading, like, oh, this is interesting because it's almost like if you took a plot for a different movie or something and just sort of twisted it to a comic book with these very well-known characters, Thanos, and I guess I don't know if Star Fox and the Champion of the Universe are that well known.
Yeah. Star Fox will be in a couple years.
He is, Harry Styles, already my daughter's favorite superhero. He's been in one end scene of a fucking movie.
Yeah, like maybe 6 seconds of screen time. Favorite Marvel character.
Exactly. But I love his design for the Champion of the Universe. It's just like a gigantic hulking figure and wild hair and I don't know. It's a interesting coming off of like the Avengers movies and how Thanos was such a big part of the MCU, and then like it seems like they've kind of melded that into the comics a bit more. Not overtly necessarily, but it's you kind of get the same flavor of that Thanos and just that history of the character to some degree. But yeah, it's really good. I mean, if you haven't read it,
I was gonna say like the Marvel movies is sort of like, to me, not the definitive Thanos, but I think like the way they treated him, it's like one of those things where sometimes like a character is used in a different type of property and all of a sudden it's very like clarifying about what they are. And it's like, oh, this is what he is, right? Because a lot of these characters accumulate all this stuff, over the years, and it can kind of feel like something like Thanos and the Marvel movies. It's like, oh, like actually simplified down to like, oh, okay, that's what he is. And then it's like, oh yeah, we should use him. Like I think what it is.
One of those characters that after Starlin was done, and you do the Infinity Gauntlet, he's one of those, well, what do we do with him now kind of characters? Yeah, because he's
so powerful.
My thing with a lot of like I've read like Infinity Gauntlet, which is a cool book, but it's very like, it's almost like hard. It's so unique in like what it's doing. It almost feels separated from like Marvel in a weird way to me, in my mind. Like all that cosmic stuff like happens someplace. Yeah, like happens someplace else. And like never felt like Thanos was really like connected to the Marvel universe. Yeah. Like as tight as you would assume from like the, and this is, I'm obviously not the biggest Marvel reader of all time, so I might be misreading that, but it certainly feels like, oh, actually he could be, central to this universe and actually like kind of in a role that's much bigger than you'd imagine.
Yeah, I think he was a very good choice for the MCU to be like, oh, okay, we're going to use this guy as the central cog to tell all of these different stories. But I know what you're getting at, because Marvel, I think from the beginning has had that like cool street level vibe to it. A lot of their characters, like the common guy, the Peter Parkers, and
Thanos was always like out there.
Yeah, and then Star-Lord comes around in the 70s and it's like, oh no, we're gonna get weird with shit.
Yeah, and then it's like its own thing, and it's like,
well, you even like people would refer to it as sort of like cosmic Marvel. Marvel Cosmic. It was his own universe almost, and you're right, it was. But I also think like Thanos was kind of an odd character. Like the idea that his motivation was bizarre. It was like, oh, he was in love with death. Well, and that's why he wanted to kill so many people. It's like, okay, that's a really kind of, when you take that away from like the 1990s comic book, and you try and then make that into a movie in the in the 2000s, the 20, it's like, yeah, that doesn't work. We have to change that, and they did, and they made it more sense of like
the snap.
He has his own motivation of why he's doing it is he actually thinks he's a good guy, and that, like you said, that clarified the character, and now it's like, oh yeah, it's not as weird or bizarre of an idea of like, oh, he's in love with the entity of death, which is really kind of like a. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of interesting.
To just be like in your. I always thought of like the Marvel cosmic stuff is like not Shakespearean in the sense of like classic literature, but Shakespearean in the sense of like very melodramatic and like metaphor, filled in very like Thanos is in love with death, which is such like a goth teen like viewpoint, as opposed to like not that there's anything wrong with being a goth teen. That's obviously but it was like its own tone, where it was like, oh, this is where like stoned philosophy majors are reading these comics where there's like abstract concepts,
ideas,
Captain Marvel over and over again.
So even as I think kid, it's hard. It was like, what is like eternity? Like, like just hard to like.
You go the living planet. What? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, I like when Spider-Man fights the Vulture.
Living planet? What?
Well, I mean, I did. I mean, he does go back to the 70s in the Captain Marvel comics, and so that I think that and like I said, Star-Lord and those guys certainly they were going for a different audience. They were going for those college kids. They weren't necessarily going for
their target market was the stoned philosophy major.
We're gonna have this character is in love with who? Death.
Mistress Death.
Oh damn.
But I think it's also it's weird because even in the movies, like the idea of Thanos fighting Captain America. How does that work exactly? How does Cap not just get smashed like a bug? Like, I love Captain America, but
it's like
you have to have some sort of mechanism in there so that works in some way, and it is an odd thing where you have these godlike creatures and then these sort of metahumans.
Oh, Hawkeye is gonna shoot some arrows at him.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Hawkeye, poor Jeremy, not to bring the show back down, but Jeremy
he had a rough weekend.
Yeah, snowplow accident. What the fuck?
Damn.
So me being a Scotty now, I'm thinking snowplow. I'm thinking
you're not a Scotty if you call yourself a Scotty.
Living in Wisconsin.
Did you see the look on my face?
Only assholes that have been there for less than 2 years call themselves
I've been here for,
Scotties.
dude, I've been here for 6 years now. Anyway,
I have
own a
never
snowplow.
ever referred. Nobody that is from Wisconsin has ever in 1,000 years referred to themselves as a Scotty.
Anyway, I have a
Nah.
snowplow.
Go
It's
on.
like
Go
it's
on.
like yay wide. You
yes.
know, it's two wheels and so I'm thinking, what did he get his hand caught in it? Whatever. No, it was like a snowplow, like a city snowplow.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. No, he got hit by something. He wasn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't like he. No. Yeah, he's lucky he's not dead.
Yeah.
And he may lose a leg. Is what I
Really?
heard. But yeah,
Like,
who knows? I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, he might lose one of his legs. I don't know. I haven't read into it that much, but that's the last I heard.
Damn.
Hopefully he'll be okay. I like.
Good thing they
Jeremy
got
Renner.
the good thing they got the gal ready to take over.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think he was done with probably the Marvel universe anyway. But yeah, I'm sure that's. I'm sure Marvel will figure it out. I'm sure Marvel will be okay, regardless
Marvel.
of Jeremy
Yeah,
Renner.
like, oh, shit. Jeremy Renner's out.
Disney's gonna
Jeremy,
survive.
what are we gonna do? Yeah,
I have a lot of
how will
things.
we survive?
Yeah, Jeremy Renner. It's yeah. It's I think they'll be okay. Jeremy Renner is like had such an interesting career where like I don't know, he parlayed like the Hurt Locker into Marvel movies, and then
Yeah,
his own weird band that was in Jeep commercials, which I'm obsessed with because they're so like crazy, nonsensical, like just insane. I used to send them to my work partner all the time, the YouTube video of it. I'd be like, hey, check this out. It was our version of Rick rolling, was sending the Jeremy Renner Jeep ad commercials where he's like kicking stones in the desert, and then like his band is playing, and it's like, what's happening at this commercial? Did they pay him, or did he just like, can I put my band in this? And that's like the trade-off for it.
He had his own
Yeah.
Amazon store.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting.
not
More
to
power
shit-
to him, and hopefully he's okay.
not to shit on Jeremy Renner and
Yeah.
all, but I will. Let's just go through his
Oh,
pre-Hurt
no, yeah.
Locker.
It's good as
Oh, the pre-Hurt Locker, Jeremy.
So
Renner.
he started off with the role of Mark Dags D. Agostino in National Lampoon's Senior Trip, 1995. Then he played Jack in Paper Dragons. Don't know what that is. Then he played Remy in Fish in a Barrel. Don't know what that is. He played Jeffrey Dahmer in 2002, which I don't think I ever saw. That same year, he was in Monkey Love.
Jeffrey Dahmer's become our modern Joker. Who will play Dahmer next? Which is really messed up. But
people love Dahmer.
people just love it.
Weird.
Scotty's love Dahmer.
Yeah,
Scotty's
Scotty's
love
love
Dahmer.
Dahmer.
I'm getting that T-shirt. Scotty's love Dahmer.
Yeah.
He was in the 2003 SWAT.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that.
Then he was in a movie called The Heart is Deceitful Above All Things.
Okay, long title.
Yeah. Little Trip to Heaven in 2005. He did 5 movies in 2005. So he did A Little Trip
he's
to
a
Heaven.
working actor at this point. You know,
North Country, 12 in Holding, Neo Ned, and then The Lords of Dogtown, which is actually
I remember that one. Yeah.
2006, he did Love Comes to the Executioner. And then he was in 2007, he was in The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford,
Which we talked about on Film Force 5.
Film Force 5, we did. And then he was also in 28.
That was one of your biggest box office bust movies.
It was a gigantic box office bust. He was also in 28 Weeks Later as Sergeant Doyle.
Yeah, I really like that movie. He was one of the military guys. He's always a military guy.
Yeah. And then 2007, he was also in a movie called Take. Yeah, he does have that short, tough guy kind of. And then 2008 was The Hurt Locker. And that really, all of a sudden, he started making, he was he did a movie called Ingenious after that, and then he was in The Town with which he's very good in.
Ben Affleck.
I describe it
Ben
as
Affleck.
the probably had trouble graduating high school but likes to shoot things vibe.
Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, he was in that.
Yeah.
Then Thor, The Avengers, The Bourne Legacy.
That was bad. That was bad. That was bad.
Yeah, it was fine. It's a Bourne movie. What do you want from a Bourne movie? Come on. And then he's been in a bunch of, like 24 movies since then. Including Glass Onion, uncredited. So
Why is he
yeah,
out messing
he's
around with snowplows. He's obviously.
I don't think he was
sitting inside drinking cocoa and working out.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, it is interesting that like one movie really just completely changed his entire career. I mean, he was a working actor for over 10 years, 13 years. And then boom, The Hurt Locker, and he's a fucking giant action star after that, and multi-millionaire. That's pretty wild. That's pretty cool though. But he is a good actor. I mean, I like Jeremy Renner quite a bit.
He's good.
You want to talk about a working actor? I saw that. I don't know if this is the exact movie, but Nick Cage with Renfield is coming out. It's his 100th movie.
He'll make anything. I mean,
he's got taxes to pay. He's got castles he's paid for that he needs to.
Yeah, but that's like his 100th movie.
The man's in debt.
Nuts.
I mean, it's not that hard to make movies when you make a lot of shitty ones. You know what I mean? It's not like.
He's made some wonderful movies. He's the lead actor in one of your all-time favorite movies.
Listen, I have said
I do give him.
He is the biggest conundrum in Hollywood to me, because he has absolutely had. I mean, he's won an Academy Award. He has had some phenomenal performances, and he's made a shit ton of bad movies. You know what I mean? Like,
he's been in a bunch of bad movies. He's been in a bunch of like weird bad movies, a bunch of good weird movies, like just movies that are just like Con Air. Just like an action, like
giant. He had a whole phase of action movies.
Yeah,
Con Air, The Rock, Face Off.
Face Off. Yeah,
he could have lived on National Treasure movies forever.
He's had every type of Hollywood leading man career. You know what I mean? Like, he's done it all. He's been
Teenage
in romantic comedies, Teenage Heartthrob. He's been in weird indie films. He's done 20 freaking horror movies. He has done, gigantic action blockbusters. He's done it all. He's done every good and bad. He has touched every corner of Hollywood filmmaking that there is to do. I don't even know what else he could do that he hasn't already done. It's just insane.
Have you seen the trailer for it's Renfield, right? Is it Renfield?
Renfield, I think. Renfeld.
Have you seen the trailer?
I have not. I have not.
Looks really good. It looks. It's the guy from. It's the guy that played Young Beast in like X-Men First Class.
Nicholas Hoult.
He's in. Have you seen The Menu yet, Tom?
I haven't seen it yet, but yeah,
he's one of the mains in that. That guy's popping up everywhere, but yeah, he plays Renfield, and it looks it looks really entertaining.
You get full Nick Cage. Nick Cage is putting it all in.
Actually, Nick Cage plays Dracula, and he said he warned his fans and said, honestly, I'm not in the movie a whole lot.
Did you know that this is a Robert Kirkman is one of the producers?
Really?
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Huh.
I just happened to see. Yeah, Robert Kirkman. It's directed by Chris McKay.
Can you call it up? Do we want to watch do we want to do an instant
trailer?
take?
I can do
instant trailer.
Hold on. Let's see here.
I mean, is there any type of movie that Nicolas Cage could do that you'd be surprised?
No.
It'd be
like.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he just did a porn like a
like
full-fledged
tentacle
porn
porn
movie,
and
just
like,
to
oh, yeah,
do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
They're like, you know, and it would
Yeah,
probably
like,
people
oh,
would
yeah.
be, yeah, people would be fine with it. Like, you know what I mean? Like people wouldn't even blink an eye. I don't think, but let's see.
One day I would love to run down and detail the whole Nick Cage Action Comics #1 thing.
Sounds
Because
like a Film Force 5, top 5 Nicolas Cage.
I think we've already done that.
Oh,
We did. Yeah, we did top 5 Nicolas Cage movies.
Yeah.
And we haven't done
that's a
like,
good one.
you know, top
You
5.
did what? Red Rock West, which is actually a very good movie.
Red Rock West, I did that, and Adaptation, which is my
Adaptation,
favorite.
which is
Yeah. Adaptation.
Adaptation's one of my favorite films of all time. Like I love that
that's
movie.
one
I think
of
it's
mentioning.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, here it is. Here's the trailer.
Oh my god.
Sorry to interrupt.
Are you okay?
I need to get out of a toxic relationship.
Can you guys hear it?
Oh,
Why
yeah.
don't you start
Yes.
by telling us what brought you
I
here?
My boss, he's different.
You can't get him out of your head.
No.
I need your assistance.
I'm coming, Master! Oh, you feel like he could destroy you with the snap of his fingers.
Wouldn't even need to snap.
Okay.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, what?
Renfield, bring in innocent victims. I want a handful of nuns, a busload of cheerleaders.
And I just want a normal life again.
I love the idea of like
But this modern world is a
Renfield's a
danger.
tortured, you know, millennial.
Thank you. You saved my life. Did I watch you cut a guy with a decorative serving platter?
It's in the wrist. Let me explain. My boss gave me this power. In return, I tend to his needs, including care, feeding.
You bring him people to eat? You're like the guy that gets the villain's Postmates.
But if you were to stop focusing on his needs, what would happen?
He won't grow to full power.
Exactly. He won't grow to full power. What? That's so weird. Why would you phrase it like that? But yes. Hi. Are you here for the meeting? Well, come on.
I mean,
The Dark One, others, the Lord of Death. To most, I am Dracula.
Okay. Obviously, we're dealing with a little bit more than just narcissism here.
Now, let's eat.
I mean,
that was fun. Doesn't that look
it does
fun?
look pretty fun. Yeah, not bad. But I will say this: like the idea that Nicolas Cage would be a terrific, like, antagonist in that idea of like, not only do you work for a vampire, but he's also super eccentric. I mean, that's Nicolas Cage in a nutshell. You know what I mean? Like, you never know what this fucking guy is gonna want or ask for, or what kind of craziness. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if this was written by someone that worked for Nicolas Cage, like his assistant at some point, and you know, just
They're like, yes, let's capture.
yeah.
Control
Nicolas
Alt
Cage is
Find
Dracula.
replace Nicolas Cage with Dracula. You know, just break out your Word document shortcuts
Right.
to like change the script.
Chris McKay, Chicagoan. Spent most of his childhood in Chicago. Growing up, he was inspired by Alfred Hitchcock films. Decided to pursue film. He attended Southern Illinois University and
Go Dogs. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
went to Columbia College in Chicago for 2 years.
There you go.
And he attended his first film shoot, the 1989 comedy Uncle Buck with John Candy.
Oh wow!
Wow.
Yeah, how about that?
Nice.
So that's who's directing it. So Chicago guy. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
My
looks
alma
pretty
my
fun.
alma mater.
Yeah, he's a Saluki.
That's,
So you're a Scoonie and a Saluki?
a Scani, a
Wait,
Scani, and a
Scani? Saluka
Scani,
Scani.
yeah.
Saluki.
Or out there. This is
I briefly speaking of movies and so I know I mentioned to you, Chris, a friend of mine who's a photographer and a cinematographer who's been working on like music videos for the last few years, but he's shooting a short film with some friends of his, like a short horror comedy film. And I've known him since forever. And I was at his birthday party and we were drunk and talking, and he's like, and I was like, well, how do I get involved? I'd love to just help out on the movie and just get involved in it. And then we were talking more and more, and he's like, well, I want to shoot more. He's like, I have all the equipment and I'm just trying to learn how to do, like short films. He's like, if you want to come up with a script about something, let's do it. Let's shoot. We'll shoot something. So it's picking up some steam. Like we're kind of halfway done with the script of something set in a comic book store. So we may have to reach out to some people we know where we can shoot this in a comic book store.
You should shoot it in the comic book store in Oak Park.
No, God, no.
Is it a horror movie? Like a dark?
No.
Okay.
No, it has a very 90s sort of, Clerks kind of Empire Records.
You could do that at Dark Tower for sure.
Yeah, I was thinking Dark Tower Challenge. I don't know which one. Yeah, something
Challenger's
somewhere
too
around.
nice. And Beatty runs a nice comic shop, but yeah, Challengers is all like boutique-y.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so keep that in mind for I don't know when, maybe later this year. I might wrangle you guys into
do a cameo.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll be the podcasters leaving the store.
Well, there's a few roles that you might be able to fulfill.
We're leaving the store.
I mean, Nick
sells
Cage
characters, making fun of us, just roasting us, just like look at these two virgins.
No, there's one. Well, there's one I could see you playing, Tom. Actually, it's pretty. There's not a lot of dialogue, but it's a funny role of like basically a guy trying to buy a comic while the two kids that work there are just arguing about comics, and he just is getting more and more frustrated because he just wants to buy the fucking comic and they won't
buy this comic book.
Yeah,
kids these days.
So kids these days. So yep, there's that. What was the other thing I was gonna I was gonna bring up and I forgot. I don't know. What else you guys got? Anything else?
I was going to have some video game advice, but like you guys have lives.
Don't play.
I'm done, man. Yeah. I'm in a video game valley right now. I'm having trouble finding anything I want to play.
Dude, I don't play anything that's not 10 years old, so I don't know. I have no idea. Gods of War. I heard that's good. Have you ever played those?
God of War Ragnarok. Yeah, I haven't. I haven't played the other one. I've got the other one like free on like the PlayStation membership thing. So I've never played it before. Have you played any of those?
No, I have not. I've heard they're all good, but I haven't played any of them.
Yeah, I finished up one called Deliver Us the Moon, which it's basically just a Unreal Engine show-off game, but it's a big puzzle game where you're an astronaut that has to go to this moon base and figure out this mystery and get this energy source back online to save Earth. It was okay. It's fine. But yeah, I'm waiting for I guess Hogwarts Legacy got pushed back again for like summer. The new Jedi, the new Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order looks pretty good. So yeah, I'm in between.
I love that game. You could see my facial expression change when we went from Hogwarts
to Jedi Fallen Order. You're like, ooh.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay.
Did you play through the whole game?
Yeah, we're talking about a real game here.
Yeah, it's a game.
Yeah, we're talking game, not Hogwarts. I'm not playing that Harry Potter shit.
I've been trying to finish Cyberpunk 2077 for like a year now. It's you know, I play it for an hour at a time, and it'll take me.
Did you lose? Is it too immersive? Is there too much like too many things to do that you're just like?
There's just so many side jobs, and I have this weird like completist mentality. Yeah, it's like but some of them,
my whole life is side jobs.
They're fun.
Most of
the
them
side missions are awesome.
Yeah.
Most of them are pretty good, but there's some weird ones where it's like, I got to go talk to a monk and meditate. I'm like, I really don't want to do this. Like, why am I meditating? And that's all it is. Like, there's no, like, do you think I have time to meditate in a video game? I don't have time to meditate in my real life. And I should
be doing this in life. Yeah.
Why are you making me meditate in a video game? And then like, there was a weird one where like, you're following this dude who is like this murderer who was released from prison, but now he's like tried to save his, he had like salvation with Jesus, but he's such a religious freak now that he's going to kill himself.
Yes.
And like,
and you got to
record
keep him from committing suicide, right?
Yeah, and finally I'm like, just fucking do it, dude. You want to do it? You seem committed. Go ahead, kill yourself. I don't care.
Just like, all right, that's
whatever. There's a side mission with a sentient gun that is awesome.
Oh, I don't think I didn't run into that one yet.
Oh,
I just remember when I first started playing that game, I think I kind of cheated in a way, is in that I ran into a mission that I think was I was like 8th level, and I think you needed to be like 25th level to kill this assassin the first time. But then I kept going back, and over time I figured out how to kill him without him being able to kill me. And it was almost like a trick. Like I shouldn't have been able to do it. But then I got a shit ton of fucking weapons from him. And then I just leveled up like, exponentially because I had weapons that I probably shouldn't have had. I don't know.
It's the video game bell curve where you're like, I'm getting destroyed. Okay, I'm kind of fighting things off. Now I'm kind of like evenly matched. And then all of a sudden you're a god.
Yeah, and then I'm just one shot killing everything.
Yeah,
from
then you're like walking into a warehouse with like 25 guys with rocket launchers, and you're just fucking mowing them down left and right.
Yeah,
you're gonna be fine. It's actually one of the things about video games I enjoy is getting to the. I mean, that's your reward for slogging through all this shit. Is now you're a god.
Right. Yeah, you get to just waste everything. Yeah, it is weird. It is odd, but it's a cool game. I mean, it's a beautiful game, and there's some weird things to it that I don't quite understand why it's built the way that it is, but I enjoy the game. It is sometimes where like I'll play for 3 hours and I haven't really accomplished anything. Like I haven't progressed in the story at all. I've just done a bunch of side missions, and like I said, I get this weird like. Does it make me?
Yeah, it's like guilt. It's like when I play a game and that happens, I don't know. I feel like I'm like, oh shit! Like I feel like death has creeped up closer on me. Like, like all I did was side missions, and I'm like, my life is just side. What did I just do? Did I?
Having a very self-aware moment.
It is a weird thing of like, not only am I wasting time, I'm wasting time while I'm wasting time. Like I'm not even I'm wasting time in a video game, but
it gets very
that's why I liked I liked that Fallen Order, because it was like you always kind of felt like it was kind of propelling you, so like this it's a story, so it's like you never really feel like bogged down in like, sure, there's puzzles to solve, but I mean, they're never that like insane that you're like, it took me 3 days to figure out how to do this like part to it. So it just feels like you're kind of in a movie 25% of the way, which is fine, which is actually like what I prefer. I prefer that to like the almost too much autonomy and almost too much like, what am I going to do? Like
it's weird because it's an open world game, but it's not, right?
Yeah,
it's
they're definitely like
world game, but there's a very linear storyline that you have to follow.
Yeah, but it's like always gives you enough freedom that you don't, it doesn't feel constrained, you know? So it's like you can run around this whole place and do all kinds of, you can find stuff, but like you don't have to. Like you can just like figure out the puzzles and
yeah, well that's
and
I like
just
I get in
keep
a
going.
weird thing too, like I want to get all the side missions done and then I'll do the main mission.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like
That's
this
how I play.
weird
I
kind
love
of
it.
yeah, but it is kind of like I don't know why I do that, but I don't know. Yeah, it is more fun.
I don't know. That's
Because
right.
you know that whenever when you finish the main storyline, it's like, yeah, when I finish the main story, I'm not going to fuck around going back and doing all these side quests. So
Well,
I just
I'm
kind of
mainly
like collect them
you
as I
know,
go.
like if we're talking like what we're actually spending time playing games, I'm usually playing like Mario Party or you know, or Mario
Purely
Super Strikers with the kids. So when I'm playing like an adult, like a game for me, like the side quest games, I play the game so infrequently that if I spend time doing side quests, I'm like, I don't even know, like, what did I just do? Like, I just like did like do any. I'm
Well,
gonna
that's
forget
it.
all this.
That's the problem too I have is like I'll play a game for a good couple of months and then I won't play it for 6 months. And then I'll come back to it and be like, "Oh yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'll just keep playing it again." And that's why I've been playing this game since it came out. Like I got it the day it came out and I'm still playing it. So I guess it's a value, right? Like I've gotten my money's worth.
Well, that brings up an interesting discussion. Cyberpunk 2077 was hotly anticipated. This was going to be, like almost automatically game of the year. Everyone was looking for it. It's the same studio that did the Witcher series, and it had been tons of hype on this Cyberpunk game that they're working on, like years of hype building up to this, and it releases and it's buggy as fuck.
Yeah.
And just starts getting panned by people. It's, internet trolls are just piling on to this game. I didn't think it was that bad when it came out. I'm the same as you. I bought it when it came out and played it and enjoyed it. But yeah, there was some buggy stuff going on in it. I need to go back because I've heard that it has gotten exponentially better since it released, and they've fixed things, patched things, and I think that people have kind of gotten over the original like bad launch of it, and now it has a big following. I mean, even in other media like comics, movies, TV, can you think of things that were so hyped up and underperformed, but then actually caught a second wind and kind of became as good as they were originally billed to be? It's a really odd thing. Windows 7. There you go. Yeah. Alta Vista.
No, I don't. Yeah, I think it's different with software.
It's
software, I'm in the software industry now, and it's just how software is made. Like you're never going to be quite done with it, and it's like the first release is something of value, but you're knowing that you're going to have updates and re-releases. With video games, a little tougher because if something's really buggy, it does kill the momentum of it. But I mean, I'm trying to think of like any, in a different. I mean, I guess there's tons of movies that shit the bed at the box office, but then had huge numbers in rental. When that was a thing,
or over time became cult classics or
cult. I mean, I think you see that with things on streaming,
Idiocracy.
like
we talked about it last week. Idiocracy.
Yeah,
that movie did how much? Like $4.5 million box office?
No, not even. No. It was like $400,000 in the box office.
What is now like a cult classic with name actors, in it. So
yeah, I think you've seen that with streaming to a certain degree. There's been certain things that have not worked on a certain platform and then get picked up by Netflix or something, and have a more success. Cobra Kai was on YouTube. That started on YouTube, and you know, and now it's on Netflix and it's had 5 seasons or whatever it is, or you know, so I think you do see that to a certain degree of things picking up. I don't know about comics. It's hard. That's a weird one. Like comics, I don't know. Like stuff like what would be the equivalent? Like it came out in single issues and nobody gave a shit, and then you know what? I do have one for you. Darwin Cook's the what's
the Parker
fucking,
stuff?
No, not
New
the Parker
Frontier?
stuff. The New Frontier.
New
That came
Frontier.
out in single issues. Nobody gave a shit.
Oh, that's right.
And then it came out in, you know, like that hardcover, and all of a sudden the Absolute edition came out and people fucking called it a classic. But I remember when it came out in single issues, like nobody fucking cared about that book. I remember, like, I didn't really know about that book until months and months and months after, and I went back and my local comic shop, and they had all the original issues, like just cover price, because they couldn't sell them.
Yeah.
Which I think I still have somewhere, but so yeah, I think that stuff happens to some degree. Like it gets a second life somewhere, you know.
Yeah. But it's weird, you know, the difference with Cyberpunk is that it was really fucking hyped up, and then it fucking tanked.
Oh yeah.
And
well,
then
I
it
think
has rebounded.
But I think the tanking was part of the hype, like in the sense that the fans were so rabid and they were so angry because it kept getting delayed because it wasn't ready for release. And then finally the company's like, well, fuck it, we're going to release it because fans are going crazy. Here you go. And then it's full of bugs because it wasn't ready to be released, and fans shit on it. And it's just like, well, you can't have it both ways, you know, like what the fuck? But I was with you. I played it. I'm like, there's a few bugs, but it wasn't anything that really stopped me from enjoying the game.
Well, also like the nature of games is so different, you know, like they can update it. There can be new things added to it. Like it's kind of a living document, right? It doesn't exist statically. So it's like,
it's not like the
perception.
Old days when you would buy the Nintendo cartridge and that was it.
Yeah.
Literally.
Like, actually. Yeah.
Literally part of my job now is convincing people that is how software is built, is that you have an idea as a company that you want an application built. And most of the time these people are like, we want it to do this and this and this and this and this and this. And you go, okay, but we want that in 3 months. And it's like, well, we can't give you that. Nobody can give you all of that in 3 months. How about if we give you part of that in 3 months, and then 3 months after that, we give you another part, and then 3 months after that, we give you, and in 2 years, you have it all. And we can do that because it's software. And that first part's going to be valuable to you and your customers and whoever uses it. It just won't be everything you want. And that's a really difficult thing for people to, especially like people our age and older, to comprehend. Like it literally is part of my job to try and explain this to people of like, okay, our first release, we're going to get something quick out to you and it's going to work, but it's not going to have everything you want. It just can't. You know,
George Lucas was ahead of his time.
George Lucas was definitely ahead of his time.
I'm just going to update this movie. You know, like I'm just like, here we go. It's been 30 years since we updated it. Here you go. Now there's this scene, and it's like, oh damn! Like he's treating it like software. We're just gonna keep getting new releases.
Yeah, and this guy.
I think I've mentioned it on the podcast before, but I'm reading this book called Easy Riders and Raging Bulls, and it's all about the new Hollywood, the new 70s. And
that's a great book.
It's such a good fucking book. Yeah. It's so entertaining, and there's so many stories in it, and it's so much of like, holy shit, like the ideas you have of Steven Spielberg and George Lucas and Coppola and Scorsese and all these guys whose movies I've been worshiping for years, and it's just like the ideas you have of them are not necessarily in good and bad ways what you think they were, and the book is just It's a really good book if you're interested in that. But the stuff on Lucas and Spielberg is interesting for sure, because it was like they were part of the new wave of Hollywood, but they kind of killed it at the same time.
Yeah,
they killed it. They created the blockbuster. And but it's fascinating. It's a fascinating read. It's really a great book.
Yeah, I mean, like Jaws redefined the summer movie, right?
Yeah. I mean, I can't even begin to try and explain it as well. I mean, you really just have to read it because it's so well, like it's so intertwined with so many other storylines and like how the ramifications of Jaws, what the ramifications of Jaws were, and then how Star Wars, took that even up a notch. And then at the same time, you had like Apocalypse Now, and The Godfather and all the, it's like it just was such this short period of time that so many things happened to sort of upheave the culture of Hollywood, in a decade. It was amazing, but completely shifted things so much. And then, this book doesn't really go into it, but at the end of that, then you have the 80s and you have the video rental stores and how that changed everything, and it's just, it's fascinating stuff.
Video movies.
Oh yeah. That's complete Canon Films and
oh god,
all
Canon.
that stuff.
That's have you guys seen that documentary on Canon Films?
Oh yeah. Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
I was going to say the cool thing about that book is like, I always thought was like sort of explaining like where Spielberg really is from that group of directors. Like that's where he comes from, like he's
right. Oh yeah.
Like,
he was
that's
up here.
Yeah. And
but he talks about it. Like he was raised by the studio. They were outsiders, and he was like, no, I want to make movies that, are huge. I want to, it's like he just had a different mentality of like, I want to make movies that the studio want.
He had like a different ambition then,
yes,
but he was like had the same sort of, so he had like that same artfulness, but he had like an ambition to like do something like that was popular, or it was like, I'm gonna make a thing, and like understanding that like, he is, like he's like a great filmmaker. He's not just like pumping out like popcorn movies. Like he's really good at making movies and like extremely skilled and like artistic in it. But his art was like making these giant like making these hugely popular, like very like resonant films. Like,
well, I think that for him, it was, he worshiped the films of guys like Ford and Houston and what I mean, like he didn't look at those films and say that he wanted to do something different than that. He wanted to elevate that, you know what I mean?
I mean, because
Scorsese and Coppola and those guys were like, they were looking more at like foreign films, and it's like, we want to do something outside of the studio. We want to do something.
Well, I mean, the title of the book,
studio.
Easy Rider. Easy Rider is like a complete turning your back on the Ford Houston. Like this is like what a movie is. A movie does this and in this order, and like these things happen. And Easy Rider is like, no, we're not going to do any of those things, and it's going to be edited weird, and you're going to like,
well, it was almost like, a mistake, and yet somehow it became this touchstone culturally, and then all of a sudden everything shifted, and the studios were like, holy fuck, what, this is what people want, because that's what you have to like. That's what I think the book illustrates really well, is like Hollywood as an entity is nothing other than chasing the dollar. That's all Hollywood really is.
Oh, for sure.
And filmmakers only have power if audiences go to see their films. It doesn't matter what the films are. It has no bearing on the artistic quality of the films. It doesn't matter how good they are, how bad they are. It only matters if people go and buy a fucking ticket. And that's all Hollywood.
The reason Quentin Tarantino has been allowed to continue to make movies is because people go see them.
Absolutely. And that's the thing with like Easy Rider. It came out and it was a fucking disaster as far as like, you know, the making of it. And Dennis Hopper's a fucking maniac. But somehow it touched into a moment in time, and culturally all of a sudden people lost their fucking minds, and there were lines around the block. And so now Hollywood was like, well, fuck, I guess we got to just let these crazy hippies do what the hell ever they want. And, you know, because they're going to make us a shit ton of money. And then all
Crazy
of a sudden
go to the movies.
You had all these you know, guys like Scorsese and Coppola and Altman and Schneider and Friedkin and all these dudes that were just like outsiders and maniacs, and they
the
were
Friedkin stuff is like is like amazing. Like that movie, whatever movie it was that they filmed in like South America, where they're
Sorcerer,
Sorcerer, yeah, the Sorcerer, which is just like an insane movie, but also just the making of it sounds insane. Of like, what are we doing? You know, like like just drive this across this bridge. The bridge might collapse. Whatever.
Well, and
like
plus,
we'll figure.
Plus, you remember these guys are all fucking coke fueled. I mean, coke was popular in the 80s, but it was popular in the 70s. I mean, all these dudes were fucking coke animals.
Yeah,
and it was just like
Thanos, you know, like they're Have you ever read The Kid Stays in the Picture, the Robert Evans?
I haven't read it. I've seen the movie, but I haven't read
the book. Is better than the movie.
Okay, I will read it.
It's good.
That would be. Yeah, I'll read it next for sure.
Yeah, it's a great. That's a great movie.
There's lots of great Godfather stories in that, where he talks about like the process of making it, and just being like, it's funny because you watch the movie and it's almost like too much Robert Evans voice, you know, like when he sits there and you're like, but when you read it, it's like you can read a bunch of it and it doesn't quite like, it's kind of like, because it almost becomes like a parody, you know, when you hear so much of it, and you're just sort of like, did I respect him?
When in 1947, I came to Hollywood, and Robert Evans is just.
Did I like
Robert
Evans?
Evans?
No. Did I respect him? Yes. Did I fear him? Hell yes. You know, like just like, you know, just that like parody Robert Evans voice.
I would love to see what you think about on Paramount Plus. There is a series called shit, what is it called? Not the God. It's about the making of the Godfather. It's based on the book
The Offer.
The Offer. Yes, thank you. It's called The Offer.
Oh yeah, I've heard things about this series. Yeah.
That's with Miles
Teller. Miles Teller plays the producer. I can't think of the producer's name, but he was the producer of The Godfather. But Robert Evans is in it, and Coppola is in it, and yeah, it's really, really good. It's you know, it's probably a little cuter than the reality, and you know but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah. The other book that I read before this one, which oh shit, what is the name of it? God, oh motherfucker, I'll have to look it up. But there's another book. I'll find the name of it because it is probably the best book that I've ever read on Hollywood, as far as just, I burned through it. It was so entertaining to read. And the way that the writer wrote it was just like how he weaved all the narratives that he was telling, all the different storylines that he was telling. And but I have to look it up. I don't know. I can't remember the name of the book, but it was more about like the 60s than the 70s, but it's very good. I'll look it up.
Can I remember the title? No. Will I look it up? Yes. Will I ever forget it? Never. You know, just
and find out the answer to that and more on our next episode.
On our next episode. I did. So I don't know if you guys saw. I'm sure you didn't, but there was a story in Variety, by it was about Sandy King Carpenter, the wife of John Carpenter,
Okay.
and the longtime like editor producer John Carpenter movies.
Yes.
And I guess she started a comic book company called the Storm King Comics. But the title of the article is Sandy King Carpenter was sick of comic book industry gatekeepers. A decade later, her self-started publishing house is scary successful. And it's like this whole thing of like, you know, the idea is sort of how nobody wanted us in the comic world, King Carpenter said. This was 10 years ago, and they were pretty hostile to what they thought were celebrity comics and vanity comics. The comic companies themselves thought we were all just stupid. And it was, but then what I found hilarious about the article is she says that, and the whole like premise of the article is the idea that like there was someone keeping her out of comics because people looked at them as just like carpetbaggers or something.
Yeah.
But then later on,
you celebrities, you famous people.
Later on, she basically the second 2/3 of the article is her talking about how fucking hard it was and how they didn't know anything about making comics and how it took them 10 years to figure out how to make comic books. And it's like, nobody was keeping you out of comics, shithead. You didn't know what you were doing.
You just didn't know what you were doing.
Are you telling me that IDW wouldn't have launched a fucking giant line of John Carpenter comics if
I'm not telling you
given
that,
the opportunity?
Sandy King Carpenter is telling you that.
Yeah,
she's telling you that.
Making comics is hard.
It is, but I guess they have some out now. John Carpenter's Tales for Halloween. And John Carpenter's Tales of Science Fiction, and then some sort of Storm Kids line of comics. But it's called it looks like Steve Niles is writing that one. I just thought it was kind of interesting. It's just kind of funny that like nobody wanted us in comics. Oh, by the way, we didn't know how to make comics either.
We didn't know how to do it.
The gatekeepers of comics kept us out of the industry that we didn't understand.
It's always
no one will let me make a movie.
By the way, no, not at all. But that shouldn't stop me from making a movie and being incredibly successful at making a movie when I don't know how to make a movie. Yeah. What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna go read that pregnant Joker comic that all the people on Fox News are upset about.
God, I forgot about that. Pregnant Joker. Everybody's all up in arms about pregnant Joker. It's like,
So what I would say is, if you're upset, please tell me the last time that you read not just a Batman comic, but a comic period. A comic period.
Joker.
And by the way, can you answer this question? How many Batman or Batman family comics does DC publish each and every month? It's more than 10.
Too many.
It's more than 10. I'm sorry. Occasionally there's going to be some weird shit because they got to pump out a lot of content. Pregnant Joker, cool. I'll read it.
Pregnant Joker. Has anyone read it?
I have not read it yet. I don't even know what fucking bat book it's in.
The other book, I did look up the title. It's called Pictures at a Revolution: 5 Movies and the Birth of New Hollywood. So actually it was about the 70s, but it started in like 1967. And it's basically about Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, The Graduate, In the Heat of the Night, Dr. Dolittle, and Bonnie and Clyde. It's the making of those 5 movies and how it started the sort of new Hollywood revolution. But it is one of the best written books on Hollywood that I've ever read. It's just so entertaining, such a page turner. The way that he writes it is just extraordinary. It's super, super entertaining. It's written by Mark Harris. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, I highly recommend
Dr. Dolittle, right? Really? Dr. Dolittle? Really?
Well, Dr. Dolittle was in that era. and basically it's those 5 films were being made in 1967, and it was the. It was.
That's
this is sort of.
It's an important movie.
It's
that has the one of these things is not like the others vibe.
You have to read it in the context of the rest of the movies and what is going on in Hollywood. That's why it's included.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's a huge disaster of a film, and it's a production of it is a disaster. It bombs, but it's more about the context of that year, 1967, and it was up for, I think, Academy Awards. Both of them, it was nominated. Those 5 films were all nominated in 1967 for Best Picture.
Oh,
and that's
really? Okay, that makes sense.
So it's the making of those 5 films, but it's also the book is about how that started the new Hollywood. Like Bonnie and Clyde was really kind of the start of new Hollywood in 1967, but then Easy Rider. So if you're going to read Easy Rider Raging Bulls, read this one first, and then Easy Rider Raging Bulls is like the next chapter of
Are
Hollywood,
they available on Audible?
Probably. I would imagine they are. Yeah,
check them out. By the way, the Pregnant Joker, that is the Joker, the man who stopped laughing, number 4. Get it on eBay right now.
Get it now. Pregnant Joker.
And that's the hilarious thing, is that that DC and the creators of this comic, as soon as like the Fox Nation got fucking pissed off about this, they were like, "Oh, awesome! This is great. This thing is going to sell out 8 different printings. This is amazing."
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, it's just so fucking silly. It's just dumb. I'm gonna order right now.
What I love is that the person who is being quoted and is the most outraged is Ethan Van Sciver. That's the only
really?
Of course, relevant anymore is whenever there's liberal outrage that he can chime in on. That's the only time that you hear about Ethan Van Sciver anymore.
I don't want to get into an Ethan Van Sciver discussion, but he probably brought it to them. He probably brought the fucking story to just so that he could stay relevant. Who gives a shit about?
It's so weird. So weird.
It is. I'm gonna order The Kid Pays in the Stick. Oh God, no, maybe I'm not. The paperback is expensive. You can't get the book anymore. Fuck.
Get it in the library.
Yeah, I'll have to get it in the library or use bookstore.
Use the Hoopla.
Maybe the Hoopla. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of Hoopla,
the paperback's $53 on Amazon.
Holy shit!
Damn.
Robert Evans bought up all those copies and he's eBaying them now.
Yeah. Goddamn.
Speaking of Hoopla, your Trade Talk book is not on Hoopla. We need to. It's the Kevin O'Neill. It's martial law.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah.
We want to do it next week.
Yeah, because I've got. I think mine
maybe 2 weeks.
Next.
Wait, you're not here next week.
Oh,
2 weeks.
That's right. That's
2
right.
weeks.
2 weeks.
Bon's feeling. Bon's feeling.
How about 2 weeks?
Throwing rocks.
2 week countdown. 2 week countdown.
2 weeks. Martial law. What is it? It's your Trade Talk. Talk about it.
I don't know. Talk
about this out of print, impossible to fucking read comic that you picked.
If you need a copy, call me or email me. I can send you a copy. I don't know where you're gonna get a copy of it, but Martial Law, the first volume.
It's like 15 years ago you picking fucking Miracle Man as this.
Listen, if you don't have Martial Law in your library of comics, if you don't own a copy of Martial Law, I don't want to talk to you. It's one of the great comic books ever produced out of England. Epic Comics, 1987. Kevin O'Neill, Pat Mills. It is one of the informative comics of my
book.
Yeah. I would say this book,
DKR.
DKR, Watchmen, and American Flag.
Oh,
no,
Flag.
American
Okay.
Flag.
Yeah.
Those were books that changed me as a comic book fan. Like when I started to realize that there were comics that weren't, you know, the normal sort of mainstream Spider-Man
Superman,
stuff.
Batman.
Not that I, you know, I still love all that stuff, but it was like, oh, wait a minute, you can tell other types of stories in comics. And so those were the books. This was one of those books that was like, what the fuck? I never saw something like this in my life. And it really changed what I thought about comics and redefined what comics were for me. So yeah, Martial Law and American Flag, those are the books that were just like, oh, holy shit. Comics can be so much more than what I thought they were. At you know, in the 80s as a youth.
That was, you know, and you guys hear me talk about Alien Legion. Is it a great comic? No, not really. It's interesting, but that was the book that I was like, oh, there are other stories, and that's probably why it still resonates with me, you know, and sticks with me. You know, Tom, what was that book for you? That first non-superhero book that you read?
You know, you guys have to give me far more time to think about these things ahead of time. I'd have to sit there and go back over. Oh, fuck, I don't know.
Would have been Sectars.
So it would have been Sectars. Sectars was a real awakening for me, emotionally, physically, on every level.
You can get Martial Law, the deluxe hardcover on Amazon for $136 if you want to buy that.
Yeah, if you want to.
If you want to. I'm just saying.
If you're interested.
But otherwise, I don't know what to tell you.
It's not impossible.
We'll talk about it.
Oh, you can't get Martial Law, the paperback, Fear and Loathing. I think that's the first 6 issues. It's like $25. You can get it on Amazon. Look at that. So
I can.
Yeah, don't be a fucking bitch about it.
I can work with that. I'm a big fan of the Hoop one now.
I'm still upset with Staros from Top Shelf.
Why's that?
Chris Staros, because we talked to Chris Staros.
Oh, and you're just like, yeah, you need to get the rights and release that, right?
Well, no, and he did, but I was like, I need to know when that book's coming out because I want a copy, and he never told me. And now it's $136 fucking dollars on Amazon. God damn it!
You can get it. You can buy it on Kindle for $22.
Oh, there you go.
Deluxe edition.
I might buy the hardcover deluxe edition though, just because why not? Even though I have
the $136 one.
Maybe, you know, what else do I spend money on? I don't.
Yeah.
I don't spend money on anything.
All right, I'm buying the paperback.
All right, 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah, because I think it's my pick.
Have you guys read this? Have you either of you read?
No,
Martial
I've never
Law?
read Martial Law.
Oh,
I have read a few here and there, but I can't say I've read it all in one chunk.
I'm gonna be really fascinated to what you guys think about it. I think you'll like it. I mean it's really fucked up, but I think you'll like it. It's
I mean,
if nothing else, just the art alone is fucking terrific.
I'm very excited about it because it's a blind spot comic to me, and so I'm actually kind of excited to read it because it's always been there, and I've just never it's like Mad Men. I've never seen Mad Men. It's just always been there.
Now, I will say I have not read this in a while. It's been a while since I've gone and read it again. But my gut feeling is that it still holds up, and it may even be more topical today than in 1987. You know what I mean? Like it may be one of those kind of. I could be wrong, but I would not be surprised.
Is it dated or prescient? Because we've had those discussions. About some stuff. It's like, was it actually a little prophetic about some shit going on? Because I feel that way about American Flag. But Flag is weird because Flag at the same time feels dated because it's very rooted in the 80s. but it also is very prescient. It's very prophetic,
Right.
about stuff. Yeah.
Well,
It's
this
not-
is set
it's
in
very
like
Howard Chaykin.
yeah, this is set like post-apocalyptic, kind of. So it's set sort of in the future. It might be in the past at this point, but yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm really fascinated to see what you guys will have to say about it. To be honest,
All right, I'm looking forward.
I
to
think
it
I'm looking forward to discussing it. So
All right,
should be fun.
That's in 2 weeks. Which I won't be here next week. You guys get someone far better looking and more interesting, which won't be a difficult.
Well, that's a
task.
very short. That's a short list of people.
Yeah.
Short list of people, but it's a very low bar to get over. All right, everyone, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. It was kind of one of our wandering, meandering episodes. A little around music, a little around movies, a little around video games. I liked it.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? All right,
What are you
but
gonna do?
next week you
Want your
guys
fucking money back?
have a guest in the chair here. 2 weeks.
Probably
we're gonna
not.
talk about martial law. You may
Yeah,
come on. You can get a guest. Get Will. Bring on Will.
Oh, we could bring on Will Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
See if Will Pfeiffer's available.
Yeah.
We'll just
So,
end up
you know-
talking movies.
Well, don't talk movies. You know,
Hmm.
he's been known to write a fucking comic book or two. So I'm sure
This
you
is
can talk
true.
comics
This
with
is
him.
true.
We're talking
That's
about our
true,
buddy
man.
Will Pfeiffer. If you have not checked out Film Force 5, do so. It's where Will and Brian and sometimes me and other guests talk about our top 5 movies in a specific genre or topic. We just did, what was the one I was on? We did top 5 box office bust, which it is like 6 really good movies that we talk about that just were not great at the box office. And what was the other one? Coen Brothers.
Yes.
Yes, our top.
But those won't be out. Those won't be out for a couple of weeks. The next episode that'll be out this Friday will be Pixar films. Top 5 Pixar films.
Ooh.
Nice. Who's the guest on that one?
Billy Culpa from Now in Theaters podcast.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a good one. He's a big Pixar fan.
Billy's a good guy.
And yeah, he's a good dude. He's a huge fan of Film Force 5. He is maybe the number one fan
Number one.
of the Film Force 5 podcast.
Nice.
He's a big
Number
fan,
one.
But,
Nice. Actually, the facilities guy at the Wauwatosa Curling Club, huge fan. Jake is awesome. And Jake does a movie podcast. We'll talk about it on the next show.
Oh, nice. We'll have to get him on.
Yeah.
We'll have to get him. Yeah.
Oh, Jake. Yeah, Jake's actually Jake. So we've been trading manga because I gave him, what was the one that the Tom Cruise movie was based on? Like it's the Mission is Kill or something like that for Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, something like that.
So I gave him that manga, and he borrowed me out the Deadpool manga.
Oh, I didn't know that such a thing existed.
Yeah, so I've got
Interesting.
some Deadpool Samurai volumes 1 and 2, which he told me it's basically Deadpool teaming up with a bunch of manga superheroes, and it's all done. Yeah, it's Japanese manga with Deadpool, and so maybe I'll talk about that in a couple weeks as well. It looks pretty cool.
Very nice.
Cool. Yeah.
Sounds cool. All right.
All right. So next week, you guys are just hanging out. 2 weeks, martial law. In the meantime,
in between time,
we'll be everywhere in
and around
Scotty.
Scotty life.
No one
Woo!
Scotty. It's true.
Scotty. It sounds like a biscotti. Isn't that a biscotti?
Biscotti.
Isn't that
You have that with your coffee.
A little biscotti.
Coffee
A
with
little.
a biscotti.
I'd like a nice caramel biscotti, please,
Biscotti.
with my chai latte and a biscotti. No.